No, I. Hello, good evening and welcome to News at 10. We're broadcasting live from the News Hub at Adisawe Kanda in Accra. You can also follow our live stream on Facebook and on 3news.com. Let's start with a summary of the day's major news highlights. The Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development is strategizing against post-harvest losses in the sector. The ministry also wants to promote proper and hygienic handling of fish to promote the well-being of the citizenry. The sector minister, Elizabeth Quay, said this at the opening of a new fisheries training center for fisher folks at Kokrobite in the South municipality of the Greater Accra region. And residents and motorists who ply the pothole-ridden Dansoman-Dakuman Road will soon have some respite as the Accra Metropolitan Assembly takes steps to solve the problem. Director in charge of drain maintenance at the Assembly says drains along the Dakuman-Dansoman junction will be constructed all the way to Kaneshi First Light. And oyster harvesters at Chokome, Tetegu and Botiano say they're now optimistic about the future of oyster harvesting in their communities following 5 months of closed season. The closed season, which began in November 2017 and ended in April this year, according to them, is a critical turning point as they now harvest larger volumes of oysters. On international front, Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa has survived an apparent bomb attack in the city of Bulawayo. Footage from the blast at Y City Stadium appears to show Mr. Mnangagwa leaving the stage after addressing supporters when a device went off. Those were our major news highlights. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook and on 3news.com. Up next is a big one. Welcome back. Now, the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA, has warned against counterfeit dewormer and malaria drugs on the Ghanaian market. The FDA says the malaria drug Coartem 2021 and Zental tablets and dewormer were detected in the Ashanti and Eastern regions during their surveillance in those areas. A statement signed by the Chief Executive Officer of the FDA, Delise Darko, noted the pack of Zental tablets have inscriptions in Arabic. Right, let's get onto the telephone lines now and speak with the head of communications at the Food and Drugs Authority, James Lartey, who joins us now. Good evening, Mr. Lartey, and thank you. We're grateful for your time. So first, let's find out the actions you took when you detected the fake drugs in 2 regions, apart from issuing the caution statement I just made mention of.
Yeah, Stephen, good evening. Let me say good evening to all viewers. Yes, the FDA detected these brands, or see this quarter with the specified batch numbers. There were 2 of them, and then Zental tablet. And what we have done as an institution is that we have alerted all our offices. In actual fact, it is an exercise that we are doing nationwide. We have a machine that we call TruScan. That machine, we use it on the spot. That won't get to your shop. It can screen medicines and indicate whether they are genuine or they are fake. So it was when the exercise that these 2 were found out in the Eastern and the Ashanti region. So, well, we are investigating to find out how the products got to those sellers, and they will pick it up from there.
Now, I know that the influx of fake drugs into Ghana has been one of the major challenges facing the FDA and the country in general. Doesn't this suggest the authorities' failure to deal with this situation?
No, Stephen, it doesn't mean that at all. You know, what is happening is that in Ghana, for instance, we have a lot of porous bodies. And that is why, as an institution, we are putting measures like these post-market surveillance activities. So in case these things get onto the market, we'll use our PMS as the post-market surveillance activities to detect them and get them off the shelf. And let me mention this, that when it comes to fake products, it's a global challenge all over the world. Even the developed countries are all facing. So
yeah, I know it's a global challenge. Yeah. I know it's also a challenge in Ghana. But the key issue I am asking you is what specific measures the FDA has put in place to, one, empower the citizens to be able to detect fake drugs, and then also for the FDA to be able to clamp down on those who are in the business of distributing and carteling fake drugs.
Now, one of the things that we have done is to do a lot of sensitization with the owners of the shop. I'm talking about licensed chemical shops and pharmacy shops and even the hospitals, so that where they source their medicines from is very important. For instance, if people walk into your shop and give you a product that you don't know where they are coming from and you reject it, that is a very good point of dealing with this issue. Aside that, we have increased our surveillance not only on the market, but even at the ports of entry.
So, I'm talking about so if I understand you, your actions actually border on surveillance, and that's about it, right?
Yes, yes.
But I'm talking about empowering the citizens. Have you heard of the M-Pedigree platform, for example, which is very popular in the sub-region, in Uganda and other places? This M-Pedigree platform allows consumers of the drug to send a short code to a verifier. So right there, you're able to tell that you are purchasing fake drug or you're purchasing an original drug. Why is the FDA not working with this Ghanaian company, which is doing so well outside our borders, to empower citizens to be able to detect fake drugs?
Now, you see, when you pick the issue of the M-Pedigree device, that device is able, like you said, to detect fake products. Now, we have encouraged that it can be used by the industry. For instance, if company A is using the pedigree device, what happens is that consumers will be able to detect whether the product is genuine or it's not genuine. But the challenge that we are having is that if, for instance, you are using the pedigree device and it is a substandard product, which is another challenge that we are fighting, the machine will never be able to detect it. That is our issue with it. But it is something we are never against. We have always encouraged industry to use it. So
right,
don't have a problem with it.
Right. I mean, I would not like to go deeply into the M-Pedigree system, really, but that's something that the FDA might want to consider, especially that it's a simple method of verification for fake drugs. But I need to find out from you, and also I'm sure this will give assurance to many people in other parts of the country, what the FDA is doing to ensure that this does not spread to other regions of the country.
That is why we issued, in fact, a statement. So the general public will be alert on the particular batches that we are talking about. So if, for instance, you are suffering from malaria and you go into a shop, you are buying Coartem, and you see these two batches, you refuse to buy them. If you want to buy Zentril, you enter a shop and you see this particular batch, you don't buy them. That is why we issued the press statement. And aside that, our officers, like I indicated earlier, are very vigilant on the ground when it comes to these things.
All right. And you think this will be sufficient?
Oh, yes. Yes, we have already communicated with the pharmacists and the hospitals. We have sent a message to all of them. So once every one of them is alert, when the product gets to their facility, do not dispense it. They just alert us who brought it, and then we'll do an investigation.
So far, you don't know where it's coming from?
No,
You don't know who is bringing it into this country.
No,
but
no,
you do know that the
specifically.
inscriptions on these fake drugs are in Arabic. That gives you a clue where it's coming from, right?
Yeah, that is for example, yes.
And are you tracking the source?
Yeah, we are. In fact, we are currently doing an intense investigation into it. And we'll definitely get to the core.
And what leads are you getting from these investigations?
No, it's something we've initiated.
You cannot discuss that with me right now, right? Okay.
Yes.
Right, we'll leave you here. Mr. Lartey, we're grateful for your time. Thank you extremely. James Lartey is the head of communications at the FDA. I'm Stephen Enti. This is News at 10. We'll be right back. Please stay. So let's do some politics, NDC politics. The new job in constituency elections of the opposition National Democratic Congress Party in the Eastern region was called off due to non-delivery of ballot papers. It's unclear when the elections would be held after today.
Delegates were at the Eridek voting center by 7 a.m. They all had to wait until minutes after 12 noon when the Regional Assistant Secretary Anodompre came to announce ballot papers would arrive in 5 minutes, urging delegates to be calm. But some delegates could not take the excuse. They felt the regional executive had something to hide. The delegates were furious for the delays, directing their anger at the regional executives. They threatened to boycott the elections, accusing the regional executives of plans to rig the constituency elections for their preferred candidates. Police personnel had to calm some delegates who attempted to remove the Electoral Commission's setup for the elections. The election committee members and aspirants were called into an emergency meeting where the elections were called off. 1,242 delegates from 138 branches were expected to vote in the new Jabin South constituency elections.
And 1,045 aspirants vied for varied positions in the Western Region's NDC constituency elections. A total of 7,177 delegates participated in the election. The election could not come off in 2 of the 26 constituencies in the region.
I'm hoping to see that all our people have gone to vote. They voted for those that they think they have to vote for them, and people who are dedicated and committed to the cause of NDC, to rebuild NDC for Power 2021.
At the Efia constituency, each of the delegates was given a card, a unique card that will identify them when they come to cast their vote. We are doing something unique. That is that your register, you have the pictures of each. I'm at Takoradi, and as you can see, voting is still ongoing. Some of the delegates are in line casting their votes. We are told that the process started around 9:30 and it is expected to end at 5 o'clock. Steve, you went unopposed.
Exactly.
What worked for you?
I've been into the communication for a very long time, and currently I'm part of the communication team for Takoradi constituency and the Metro as well. And I haven't gathered those experiences. I think all those who wanted to contest me realized I have what it takes.
Over 500 delegates just finished casting their votes for some 35 aspirants here in Sekondi. As you can see, voting has ended and the polling agent together with the electoral officers are sorting out the ballot papers for the constituency organizer position. Even though the election result is yet to be declared, one of the aspirants has started jubilating. According to him, from the way that the voting pattern went, he's very confident that he's going to come out victorious.
We haven't had any problems. Aspirants and delegates were all well composed.
And earlier on News 360, my colleague Issa Moni spoke with the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, George Lawson, who mentioned petitions and a number of issues as the cause for the inability of the party to hold elections in some constituencies.
There are some that they are now having their branch election to it was appropriate to put those on hold, and others too had some issues. There were some petitions that we needed to go in through. So after that, then when everything is done. But even notwithstanding those ones, that some also were unable to hold their head. I'm currently in the central region. I'm at Gumua West specifically now. I understand New Drabin South were unable to hold there, and some also had to, Kankwet South, understand that one too, they had to stop voting or put it on hold, in the middle of voting or whatever, because of certain things. But
so, George, those that you've put on hold, when are they going to vote?
Yeah, we will decide. Once everything is sorted out, we'll come and we'll decide. We'll let you know when we'll hold their elections.
One reason we have heard is unpreparedness. Is it on the part of the party or is the region that is not ready for the elections?
I have 16. If we have 275 constituencies and 16 have been put on hold, how can that be unpreparedness? How can that be?
All right.
275 and 16 have been put on hold. And I've told you, I've stated some of the reasons that Amatama, for instance, has been put on hold because branch elections are now taking place. In La Dadikutupong constituency, 27 branches elections have not been held. So, and others, and in some of the constituencies, there have been some petitions that we need to sit on that petitions and resolve those before we can allow elections to take place in the other constituencies.
And away from NDC politics, President Akufo-Addo is taking a swipe at minority MPs in Parliament and some elements within the political divide over their stance on processes in acquiring the national identification cards. Speaking at the fourth commencement and presentation of the Presidential Charter at Ashesi University, the President encouraged Ghanaians to shun cheap politics and support the national identification exercise.
I had hoped that the exercise to provide all citizens with a national identity card would receive the enthusiastic support of all of us as the project finally gets off the ground after years of willful stagnation and neglect. Unfortunately, we seem to have become embroiled once again in another of those full-scale manufactured storms deliberately engineered to slow down progress in everything we try to do. I do not think I say anything contentious if I state here that it is well known that many non-Ghanaians are in possession of voters' cards that they obtain by offering NHIS cards as proof of identity. I do not think that there are more credible basic documentary requirements for establishing nationality or citizenship than a birth certificate or a passport.
He called for support for the exercise.
There is a legal definition of who is a Ghanaian, and I pray that we abandon giving politics a bad name and support this exercise to proceed rapidly to a successful end. The language of denationalization or threats of civil war are, to say the least, extremely unfortunate. They can be fittingly described as base forms of self-serving demagoguery. I am confident that the good sense of the Ghanaian people and the vigilance of the law enforcement agencies will together be sufficient to defeat any ill-conceived, destructive adventure for achieving narrow parochial partisan ends.
Established in 2002, a rigorous review of Ashesi University College's curriculum, finances, governance and infrastructure by the Accreditation Board granted it a presidential charter to award its own degree. The university's class of 2018 were conferred with Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, and Bachelor of Science in Management Information Systems.
Nine-member Bunahafo Regional Committee of the Ghana AIDS Commission has been inaugurated to supervise effective implementation of government's ambitious project of 90-90-90 to end the epidemic by 2030. A member of the National Board of the Commission, Dr. Daniel Oduro-Mensah, inaugurated the committee on behalf of the President at Sunyani with a call on members to work hard to achieve the target of 90-90-90 to reduce infections by 2020 and eventually end the pandemic by 2030. Here's a report by Larry Parkwisi Moses.
The 9-member committee with institutional representation included the Bunahafo Regional House of Chiefs, Regional Director of Ghana Health Service, Federation of Muslim and Ahmadiyya Mission, Ghana Christian Council, Regional Director of Ghana Education Service, representative of civil society organization in HIV and AIDS, network of persons living with HIV and AIDS. The Bunahafo Regional Minister is the chairman. Dr. Oduro-Mensah tasked them to work hard to reduce the national prevalence rate, which stood at 1.67 in 2017.
By the year 2020, 90% of all people infected with HIV should know their status.
And that's how we wrap up with News at 10. Thank you very much for staying with us. Up next is Russia Daily with our sports team. I'm Stephen N.T. and there is more news at 3news.com. Good night.